Howdy YouTube, talking about the Blazer today. So, I believe it was the last video that I posted. It was on the 4 and 7-way trailer wiring on this, which can transition into a generic of all the vehicles, but specifically on this, and the S10s and Jimmys and all that fun stuff. But today, we're talking about the trailer brake controller. And we're mounting, it's a universal controller. It's made to go on vehicles that A, did not come with a factory controller, but has a tow prep package, or B, has nothing, like this. The only thing this had was some wires ran to the back. I put the hitch on years ago, before YouTube, and I obviously showed you guys the video wiring the plug in. So now we're talking about the brake controller. So, what you're going to need to do, if you have no trailer brake controller, is source a trailer brake controller. Mine's a Kurt Discovery. Haven't used it much, but it does work, and I like it. I don't personally have a trailer with brakes yet, but I wanted it on here, and I'm going to wire the Bronco with one, maybe. Definitely wiring my truck with one, the K30. But anyway, back to this. This has so that's the first thing you're going to need. The second thing you're going to need is the plug for this. So this has a pigtail coming out of it with a plug on it. You need the other end of that plug with the wires coming out of it, just to make it easier. You could cut the plug off and hardwire it, but I didn't want to do that. So that's what you need for this vehicle. Now, if you have a vehicle that has a tow prep package and a plug, which is usually underneath the driver's, it's either in the kick panel or somewhere under the dash. I think some might be like by the battery, like, you know, right in that area. But on these age of vehicles, it's usually in the passenger compartment, driver's foot area, from what I understand. But anyway, if you have those, you can get that plug. So the two little pigtails that you bought, you can just wire those together. It's kind of like installing a head unit, and then plug that into your vehicle. And then from there, usually all you'll have to do is connect a power wire that's usually tucked up somewhere, and then you'll be good. Just wire your plug in the back. This does not have that. You have to run everything. So, for this brake controller, you're going to need 4 wires. And for all brake controllers, you're going to need 4 wires. You're going to need 1 is a power, 2 is a ground. That's for your controller. That's what feeds the controller. Third one, you're going to need a trigger wire. That's going to be from your brakes on the vehicle to trigger the brake controller to send power out to your trailer. And fourth is that wire going to your trailer. That one itself is usually blue in color. Kurt sells a kit, an installation kit, universal installation kit for their brake controllers. It comes with duplex wiring, which is 2 wires in a sheath. Kind of looks like housing wire. If I can find it. Nope. It's all wrapped up. You'll just have to believe me on it. But it comes with duplex wiring, a circuit breaker, which mine is down in that crevasse, and then a singular blue wire, as I said, blue, so that goes to your brakes from the controller. It's pretty simple. I just hook positive and negative to the battery, and I run those over, up the fender, across the firewall, and by the brake booster, I put a hole in the firewall and sent those 2 wires in to the brake controller. So That's your 2 power wires. That's pretty self-explanatory. The other 2, we'll go with your brake signal first off. So for brake signal, you can tap into underneath in that area generally is a brake light switch. You want to connect to the brake light switch, so whenever you step on the brakes and activate your brake lights, it triggers your brake controller. You have to be careful though that it doesn't backfeed when you use your turn signals or your hazards. If so, you might need to use a diode in there or something, or just find a different wire. Now, for me, I don't know if you've looked in the dashboard of one of these. It is a wiring mess. Very tight. And I have a remote start, aftermarket remote start on it, and that was installed when I bought the vehicle. So I didn't do it, but it is more junk up in there. So I didn't want to dig around looking for wires. So if you remember from the video about the plug, in the back there was a center high mount trailer light wire. What that did is it turned the brake. It's activated by the 3rd brake light, so it doesn't have. It's not activated by turn signals or hazards. So I just ran another wire down the frame from that one. I connected it to that one, ran it down the frame in my wire loom that sends the brake line back, which we'll get to. But I ran that down the frame in a wire loom into the firewall with the positive and negative, and connected it to the pigtail as well. That was just my way of doing it. You could find the brake light switch, but this was just easier for me. I also ran a wire that's not connected to anything currently. That's for work lights, backup lights in the future. But it's just taped up and sealed up really well and in there, so I didn't have to run it again. So the last wire is your blue brake wire. That also runs down the frame and is connected to this. You run those 4 wires, find a place to mount this. Here's a little side note. Mine is not ignition wired. It is wired directly to the battery, so it is active without the ignition on. Might be a bit of a drain, but I haven't had any issues. Also, a little note, I have a CB over there to the right. They want it away from radio transmitters. I'm not sure why. I didn't notice anything. In my truck, I had it mounted pretty close to it, and I didn't notice anything. But I don't know. I like this area better than the other side with the shifter and everything, so it just worked out good on this one. But that's pretty much it. It's very simple. And you just run those wires back with the other wires you had to run back for your 7-way, which for the additional wires for the 7-way I ran, so it was the brakes. I ran that wire for the brake actuator, well, the brake trigger. And I think the only other one I ran was a wire for 12 volt. Everything else was back there. So it's pretty simple to install. It's a little nerve-wracking drilling a hole through your firewall, especially with a bunch of wires and stuff in the way, but just I must have taken a half hour trying to make sure I was in the right spot and whatnot. But just take your time. That was by far the hardest part. And I'm just now noticing when I did this, I never cut the little pigtails off the zip ties, so I'll have to do that. But I was rushed, as always. But that's just a generic overview of how to install a trailer brake controller in a vehicle that does not have one. Definitely easy, definitely something you can do yourself. Uh, you can Google for wiring diagrams or YouTube videos of people putting it on your exact vehicle to help with the wiring in the brake light switch area. But besides that, no big deal. Maybe when I do it on the K30, I'll do a video of it for real instead of just an overview. But yeah, so again, pretty simple. Hope that helps you guys, and now we can move on with other videos, because I've been waiting to post this one to move on with others. So yeah, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. I would truly appreciate it. You can follow me on social media if you would like to. It's K30Crazy on both Facebook and Instagram. And as I end all my videos, stay crazy and have a good one, people.